So this was your first report without Jack Dorsey, with Parag in place. Let's wait on the numbers for a second. I just want to know how the last few months been going. What's it been like under new leadership?
It's been great. So Parag's been at Twitter for 10 years, so he knows the people. He was a critical part of building and implementing the strategy over the last few years. He's been a teammate to many of us at staff, so when he was promoted to this job and he made some very fast changes around how we're structured, it felt very natural. It was somebody who you knew came from a position of a deep understanding of our work and who cared a lot about the people. It feels like he's off to a great start.
Now, it sounds like he's planning to just execute the existing plan. I shouldn't say just, but is that the case, and is that really the right strategy?
Well, there is no change to our strategy. We feel really good about the work that we're doing, but we know we need to move faster. We know we need to drive more accountability. We know we need to be more metrics focused. And so some of the changes that we put in place are really designed to be in service of more accountability and being more metrics driven.
Let's talk about the numbers, though. Ad revenue came in light, user growth came in light, the forecast was light. You're reiterating this goal in 2023, 315 million users. You say that that is realistic. But if you grew about 13% last year, doesn't that mean you need to grow over 40% over the next couple of years? And is that really possible?
So we came in the top half of the revenue guidance range that we provided for the fourth quarter, and we came in line with the DAU outlook that we provided for the fourth quarter as well. So we're pleased with our results for the fourth quarter. As we look ahead, we shared some metrics today that we hadn't shared before, that we've seen 35% growth year over year in signups on Twitter in the fourth quarter. We've seen 25% growth in signups plus reactivations. That means we're getting more people coming to the front door of Twitter, which then gives us more opportunity to convert people to DAU over time. It's those insights or those early indicators that give us confidence that we can accelerate DAU growth in the United States and internationally over the course of this year, and that we can be on track for those goals by the end of next year.
So over 40%, 45% over 2 years.
Well, I think you're compounding it. What it is 20 or 20% more growth compounded over this year and next year.
So let's talk about rebooting. I know that you've talked about how these dormant accounts, people are coming back to the platform. What's different about rebooting now than, let's say, 2019, when some of these users may have taken a pause?
So there's so much that's changed on Twitter. If you just think about the onboarding process, now 40% of the accounts that are created on Twitter during the fourth quarter were created using single sign-on. That means people use their Apple or their Google ID. They didn't have to create it or remember a new password. They didn't abandon the sign-in process while they were in process. Second, we're asking people about the interests that they care about when they go through that process of creating an account. If we know what you care about, we can make much better recommendations to you then and over time. So we can turn an at-bat into a loyal audience member because we've shown somebody right away how useful Twitter can be. These are two good examples of what we've done, but there's so many other things as well that have improved.
Always love the baseball metaphors. The $4 billion buyback, what is the rationale there?
So we left last year with $6.5 billion of cash on our balance sheet. We added another billion very early in January from the proceeds of the MoPub sale. So with $7.5 billion of cash, we felt like we could, one, commit to buying back shares over time, and $2 billion in the very near term, and continue to execute on our plans. Hiring, we're going to grow headcount over 20% this year. We'll continue to be acquisitive, bringing technology and talent to our company, and continuing to build the infrastructure we need to deliver Twitter.
You recently started allowing users to use NFTs as their profile pictures. How is this going? How popular do you expect this feature to be? And how much traffic do you think it will drive to the subscription service?
So if you pay $3 a month in the United States and a few other countries, you have access to what we call Twitter Blue. You get to see the top articles organized in your network. You can undo a tweet. There are a few other features as well, and one of the cool ones that we announced just in the last couple of weeks was that you can use an NFT picture, or an NFT as your profile picture. Every time we launch a new feature into Twitter Blue, we learn more and more about how people want to use the service, where people find value, who the right audience is for a service like this. We're going to continue to iterate on both the price points and the features that we include in a subscription offering to make sure we get it right.
So everyone seems to have a view, whether it's overhyped or not, on the Metaverse. What is Twitter's view on the Metaverse? How do you define it? How important do you think it will be? And do you have a strategy?
Well, Twitter's about what's happening in the world and what people are talking about right now. If there's a topic or event that you care about, if you have something you want to share about it, you want to learn from others, we want to make sure that the tweets are available to you wherever you are. Whether you're on your sofa, or you're on your way to Mars with Elon, or you're sitting in front of your computer screen interviewing somebody, we want the tweets to be there for you. Some of that's going to happen in our app. It's also going to happen through our APIs, which allow people to improve the experience involving tweets, either in our app or elsewhere. And so we'll just continue to work hard to make sure that wherever people want to find tweets, that they're there for them.
So do you expect this to happen in the Metaverse? Do you expect the Metaverse to be a thing someday? And does Twitter need to be part of building it?
I think virtual reality is inevitable, that there are going to be a lot of different ways that people experience events. Sometimes they're going to be there, other times they may have goggles on. And whatever it may be, we want to make sure that the tweets are there for you to see them, be a part of the conversation. The Super Bowl this weekend is a great example that so many people use Twitter as a companion when they're watching something either at the event or on TV. The Olympics, March Madness in the United States, these are other great examples of it as well.
You mentioned the Super Bowl, obviously the Olympics. We're potentially seeing midterm elections later this year. You know, in the past, when I've asked you about big political events or elections, you've told me, you know, there are things happening around the world on Twitter all the time. Is that still the case, that traffic is more consistent, or do you see those bumps happening over time when there are big events? And do you see those as ways to draw new people to the platform or reactivate those dormant accounts?
Big events are incredible opportunities for us to grow our audience, to show people how much better Twitter is than the last time they came to the service, and to help advertisers find new customers on our service. But those big events are happening all over the world. It could be a cricket match in India. It could be an election in Brazil. More than 80% of the people who use Twitter are outside of the United States. And so that means that a lot of the events that are happening, that are drawing people to our service, aren't actually happening here in the United States.
Twitter Spaces, I know you're on there a lot. How much traffic is it driving? How do you expect it to be built out?
So Twitter Spaces has been a great way to get people involved in more conversations with the spoken word, not just with tweets, with text and video and pictures and so on. And we did one today to talk about our quarter. The NFL and the NBA have included them in our recent deals with them, so they do weekly spaces. I hope you'll join one soon so we can talk about the things going on in the technology landscape around the Bay Area and beyond. But it's been off to a really good start so far.